Okay, so first of all, I'll show you the issue. I have a big article here. You can see the error has already occurred, but I cleared the console and I cleared the network tabs here. Um, this particular error that I'm getting happens on large articles, but this technique that I'm going to show you, you can use if you're getting any other Gutenberg editor failures. So first of all, I'll go ahead and click update. You see immediately you get a 403 error. 403 is forbidden. And if I visit, then I mean you can see not much there, right? But it's obviously it's trying to visit the WordPress REST API, and then we get a second error that eventually comes in as well, a 400 error. Okay, now if I go to the network tab, if I expand this up a little bit, you'll see the 400 error here with the response headers, and we know that the response is a 403, and we see it's coming from the server Cloudflare. But we can also see if we scroll down, well, this one in this case is 26K in length, but it has failed. I'll show you how to find out why it failed. And then the second one, this also fails. It's got a content length of 140K. Now the length definitely has something to do with it. When I originally wrote this article, what I then did in order to try and figure out was, I mean, I'd written it and then I was adding extra content to it, and it was working, adding paragraphs at a time, and then all of a sudden at some point, once I added an extra couple of sentences, it stopped saving. So reducing the size of the article and then saving again, I could see that it was working. So anyway, if you're using Cloudflare, I would definitely recommend Cloudflare. They're really good for helping your performance. You don't really need a plugin like WordFence. If you're using something like Cloudflare, they have managed firewalls built in for you. It's way better than paying money for Cloudflare, for WordFence, sorry, especially because the traffic won't even hit your server if you have these managed rules set up properly. Okay, so if we go over to the Cloudflare website, you log in, go to your security tab, go to overview, change this setting to the last 30 minutes. And then scroll down, you see there's a managed rule, firewall rules, there's 25 and a managed rule. The problem is probably coming from one of the managed rules. So click filter on this first. And you want to double check that the post ID, which was 1675772, that's in here, right? So we see that is a filter. And that there is an error that's occurred here. We've had two errors against that endpoint. And then you see the managed rule. We see the actual managed rule here. .NET Nuke file inclusion. Now, .NET Nuke is something else entirely. It's an ASP.NET rule. So I don't know why they have that rule included in a WordPress managed firewall rule. But I guess they're just being careful in case some websites have some .NET ASP stuff on the website too. One thing I can tell you is that this rule 100005 was created in June the 6th. Okay, so this is a fairly new issue. Now there's a few ways to work around this. You can see other people in the past, before I tell you about how to work around it, you can see some people back in 2018 talking about similar issues, and there were REST API requests being disabled. A lot of these issues are closed. Now, I wasn't getting an error with these rules, so presumably that means Cloudflare has updated them since then. But you can also see over in the GitHub for WordPress, Gutenberg, that there are other issues back in 2017, before Gutenberg was even really out. And then similar 403 errors, okay? But these are helpful in terms of helping you understand the kind of issue. But basically, if you have Cloudflare enabled and you're using the Gutenberg editor, because it uses the JSON REST API, uses Ajax, then that's normally, if you're getting a 403 error when you try to update your article, then it's an issue with a firewall rule at Cloudflare. Okay, you can see similar kind of thing here back in 2017. And even here, you can see this is back in June, so this is the day after when the new .NET Nuke 1 came up. And this guy here is basically recommending to disable the rule. In my case, I am also going to do that. But I'll also show you I can tell you another couple of techniques for bypassing the Cloudflare without having to disable any rules. So there's first of all, you can disable. There's three ways. You can disable a rule if you really don't need it, or you can whitelist your API and whitelist your computer. But then that means if you are editing articles out at a coffee shop, then everything's still messed up. And then the third way is to edit your hosts file on your computer so that any traffic from your computer to your website domain address bypasses Cloudflare completely. And that's safe enough because it's only your host file, it's only from your computer. You just bypass Cloudflare completely for you and whoever else is editing big articles. And that's a good technique that will guarantees that you'll never fall foul to this issue ever again as well. But I'll show you how to actually edit out the rules. So if you see the managed rule here is this one 1005. If I click on WAF, okay, and then I click on managed rules. If I go down to managed WordPress, Cloudflare WordPress, it might be in here, or I think it might be in the specials. I think it did say that it was in the specials. So hold on. Cloudflare specials. Yeah. So 100005. If we change that to disable, okay. And then if we wait, you typically have to wait about 30 seconds. And just in case you're wondering how we know that it came from Cloudflare special, at the actual part where we were filtering here, we know. We know because I googled it, and it came up in the changelog. Yeah, here we go. So in Cloudflare specials in the changelog here, there's a new rule set. You can see this is, and if I Google .NET Nuke, you'll see that there is nothing. I mean, it's basically ASP.NET. I don't have ASP on my server, so I'm safe to disable this rule. Okay, and in this case, that's what I'm going to do. Now, 30 seconds should have passed. So if I go back here and click update, I'll clear this console, clear the network console. I'll click update. Post updated. Okay, so that's how you fix it. It's how you diagnose it as well. You've got the console here, you've got the network tab, you've got your overview inside here, you've got the previous 30 minutes, and then basically you can Google the rule number that you're seeing, and then disable it. Okay, but there is another technique, and I'm gonna, if you click the link in the video description, there's a full page article on my website describing all of this as well, and it links to this page as well. But basically, if you edit your hosts file, you get the IP address of your server, you edit your hosts file, this thing, Windows System 32, drivers, etc. Edit it, and you add in a line like this, the IP address and the domain name. Right, so in my case, I would add in my server's IP address and then www.wpintense.com. And then for all traffic that's coming from my computer to my website, it would just go directly to the IP address, not through Cloudflare. The reason why I like that approach better than whitelisting your IP address is because most people, when they're at home, their IP address is going to change. If you're on residential internet, or if you're out at a coffee shop, then your IP address is going to change all the time. So if you don't want to disable the rule, then editing your host file is the best approach. Okay, if you do want to create a whitelist, then it basically be on the web application the WAF page, web application firewall. You create a new rule, whitelist me. You put in the IP address equals whatever your address is. And then you would say bypass the firewall. Okay, and deploy that firewall rule. I only recommend that if you've got static IP addresses. So if you're at an agency and you're working from an office, then that'd be a good approach to use to fix this problem quickly for all of your editors. Okay, but otherwise, I think disabling the rule if you don't need it, or using the host file. Okay. If be sure to check out my website where we've got lots of performance plugins. My mission is to make it so you never have to worry about WordPress performance ever again. We have a promo code down below for 20% off. And I look forward to speaking to you all soon. You can come chat to me on my Discord server as well if you visit the website. Okay, thanks. Okay, bye.